Hi, guys. I'm Dr. Duc Vuong. I'm a world famous bariatric surgeon, author of 13 books. I serve the obesity community. And as we know, obesity is the #1 risk factor for poor outcomes with coronavirus. Today, I want to talk about why coronavirus is actually going to be worse before it gets better. All right. So I'm going to give you a few tips. Hit share for me. I appreciate that. #1 tip is this. We are just in the beginning, guys. I know you are tired. And I know you are tired and frustrated with the coronavirus, but I will tell you right now, coronavirus is not tired of you. The coronavirus is not frustrated with you. Can I have an amen? Coronavirus is not frustrated. The coronavirus is like the fucking Terminator. It does not get tired. It does not stop. Who remembers that movie, The Terminator, from the early 80s? The first one, the best one, when Reese was like, you know, he will not stop until you are dead. Coronavirus is unemotional. Coronavirus does not care about your politics, does not care if you're a red state or blue state, does not care if you're liberal or conservative, does not care about your religious preferences, does not care about your God. Trust me on that. Coronavirus will not stop, and it is not frustrated or tired. #1 reason why this is going to get worse in the fall, okay? And it's not the second wave. I'm still talking about the first wave, okay? #1, the temperature, and this one, a lot of y'all already understand, okay? The coronavirus, we were expecting it to go away in the summer. It didn't, wink, wink. This heat did not kill this coronavirus, wink, wink, right? So there's something funny, wink, wink, about this coronavirus. Okay, it's not, other coronaviruses don't behave this way, wink, wink. Other coronaviruses do not like the heat, wink, wink. This coronavirus, for whatever reason, is not going away with the heat. So, but what will happen this fall, this is why it's going to get worse, is we're going to fight coronavirus while we're also fighting the seasonal flu, the influenza. Okay. Problem is, people say the flu when they might mean the cold. They might mean there are different things. There are other coronaviruses that cause flu-like symptoms. But we're talking about influenza A, influenza B. Okay. That starts up again in late October, November. And we're going to be in the midst of this coronavirus outbreak. It's still going to be hot, right? We're still, if we're lucky, I mean, we're currently at 70,000 daily cases here in the United States. We'll be lucky if we're down. We'll be lucky if we're down to 30,000 cases if we cut it in half, and that's going to require us really rolling back and closing back down. So it's going to time with the influenza. You guys know that, which now means more people sick, more people out of work, more people huddled up. Now, why does the influenza come back during the fall? It's because it doesn't really like the heat, right? It kind of dies off. That's why the flu season is usually around November and ends in March. Now, a lot of that depends on what the caseloads are doing, and the infection experts kind of tell us doctors when we can end the flu season. So it's a moving range depending on what's happening with herd immunity and such. Okay, so 1, the timing's bad. Okay. 2, we are not going to have a vaccine ready. I don't care what the people in the news are telling you. We will not have a vaccine ready by this fall. And if we did, Dr. V's show ain't taking it. Why not? Man, you do not know. If there's a vaccine out this fall, which there won't be, but if they try to push it, I won't take it because you don't know the long-term side effects, right? But we're not going to have a vaccine. That's the other problem. We don't really have good treatments. All right. So when this coronavirus, this heat goes away, it gets cooler. There's going to be a second wave up in New York. Watch me. Listen to me. Listen to me. There's going to be a second wave starting up in the Northeast when this cooler weather comes. Okay. People are going to huddle up, bundle up, and that's when you're going to see cases come back. All right. Because New York and those sort of places are starting to open up restaurants and things like that. And when that happens in the colder weather, you'll see the coronavirus cases come up. There's no treatment. Don't forget, this is novel coronavirus. It means new. So there'll be there's no treatment and there's no immunity, which takes me to reason number 3 why it's going to be worse in the fall. There is no herd immunity, unlike the flu. Okay, that we have a vaccine, we have herd immunity, but not for the coronavirus. Okay, number 4 reason why this is going to be worse. Now, this is stuff that your other people aren't telling you. I've been telling people in my challenge group about these reasons for 2 months. So there's a lot of people in my challenge group that are watching right now. I have a monthly weight loss challenge group that they're in, and I've been telling them and warning them about coronavirus for the last 2 months. And so comment right here if you're in my challenge and we've been talking about this. All right. So, all right. So here's the stuff that you're not hearing on the news. Next number, whatever number we're on, number 5, I guess. Another reason why this is going to be worse this fall is we have a higher than predicted hurricane season. No one's telling you that. There is higher than predicted hurricane season coming up, okay? So normally we have about 10 hurricanes, 10 named storms during a hurricane season. Hurricane season is usually beginning of June 1st till the end of November, okay? And usually we have about 10 hurricanes named storms. And so far we've already had several. This season we had one of the earliest named storms. I think we're on Douglas. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We are already on seven named storms. So this season, hurricane season, is more active. So they're predicting about 20 named storms this season. Okay, we're on G, so we have 7 named storms already, and it's only been 2 months. Okay, we got to go all the way through November. Now, why is this a problem with coronavirus? Well, what happens when a hurricane happens to you? See, I lived in Houston during Hurricane Katrina and all those, when they were all hitting us back in 2005, 2006. And then I got hit in 2008 with Hurricane Ike, went right through Galveston. So what happens? Well, you have these mass evacuations. You got shelter in place. You got people who huddle up. You got families. Like I lived on the water, so I went to the north side of Houston, and we had 2 families staying together. I stayed with my buddy and his family. So you're going to have people huddling up. You're going to have convention centers opening up for people who don't have a place to go, homeless people, etc. So you're going to see that people are going to crowd into closed spaces, and that's going to cause the spread of coronavirus, but also the flu. And you're already seeing that. There was a typhoon that hit India earlier a couple months ago. You're having, and so we have Hurricane Douglas heading towards Hawaii right now. Luckily, the coronavirus numbers are low in Hawaii. We have a storm that's about to make landfall in the southern part of Texas right now. So you're going to have flooding, and you're going to have rescues. You're going to have these people, you're going to have water rescues. They're going to have to be masked up, PPEs, things like that. That's going to lead to transmission. That's going to, we're starting to lose first responders because they're sick. The police force are getting sick. And I'm not talking about the blue flu. I'm not talking about protesting things. I'm talking about they are literally coming down with coronavirus. We are already seeing healthcare providers get sick, nurses, doctors. So you're not going to have the staffing available to handle this. So higher than expected hurricane season, that's going to be a problem. Next number, number 6. Reason why this coronavirus is going to be worse in the fall. There's going to be, we think we're going to have a La Nina event this year. Most meteorologists think that. So La Nina is a storm system off the Pacific. It leads to what? What happens? It leads to massive forest fires. So you saw that earlier already in June when Arizona had a bunch of forest fires. they're starting to flare up again. You don't see it that much on the news because people are kind of used to forest fires now, but this will be a bad season for forest fires. So what happens with forest fires again? People evacuate their homes, they go to shelters, they're huddling up again, and that's going to lead to transmission of coronavirus. All right. Now with La Nina events, we also know what? Unpredictable storms. So you're going to have weather events too. You're going to have tornadoes. You're going to have flash flooding. So now you're going to have mudslides and all that sort of stuff. Dr. Vuong, this sounds terrible. It's like, oh my God, this is horrible. No, I mean, this is what we call the perfect storm. Okay. And all of this is going to happen around September when the weather is cooling off. And so this coronavirus is going to get worse. Next number. And I'll do a separate one on number 7, but it's going to be with the return of college kids and school. So I want to break it up first to elementary school kids. Most parents, if they have an online option, they're starting to pick the online option. I get it. Some parents can't do that. They have to work, and so they're doing the best they can. I think if you're not in a hotspot area, you'll be okay to go back to school. I'll do a separate school one for you guys. But if you are in a hotspot area, like I currently live in Houston, even though I'm currently in Albuquerque, we were going to put our 4-year-old into pre-K, got super excited, got her enrolled in a good pre-K school. Nope, we decided to pivot. We're going to homeschool her. I'm doing a 2-week camping trip, get away from there. And we've bought materials and stuff to homeschool. All right. So that's the younger kids. The high schooler kids, so in Houston at least, they're delaying the start of school. Some places are talking about school on campus a couple times a week and then remote learning. There's going to be all sorts of stuff. So there's going to be transmission. Okay. And let me talk about the college age kids. So a lot of campuses are trying. Notre Dame, for example, has announced that they're going to do kind of this wide testing, and you got to think about dorms. They're trying to do different areas, no congregation areas, cafeterias, things like that. But here's a problem with college age kids. Guess what? They love to do. They love to go back home to visit mom and dad during Thanksgiving and breaks and Christmases. But they've been, at college doing kid stuff, man. So you never know. Which reminds me, if you didn't see my video the other day, yesterday's video about herd immunity and why people need to stop having these stupid coronavirus parties because we're not sure we can even achieve herd immunity. And these college kids, you know how they are. They're going to get together. They're not going to do what things they need to do. They're not going to wear masks. They're not going to socially distance, and then they're going to take it home during the holidays to grandma and grandpa. And so you're going to see a flare up there. That's one of my concerns. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that'll be a problem. You comment if you agree or you understand about what I'm saying about college students, right? Next number about why this is going to, the fall is going to be worse. Okay. In July, 30% of people in July did not pay their rent. 30% of people in July did not pay their rent. And any sort of federal government protection where you couldn't be evicted if you didn't pay your rent ends this weekend, ended today. Right? So courts are opening up. They're doing online courts, virtual courts. So what you're going to see is mass evictions of people. So what's going to happen this next week? You're going to see a lot of mass evictions. So what does that mean? What's going to happen? That means you're going to see people moving back home. They might move in with their kids, or the kids might move back with their parents. So now you're talking 2, 3, 4 generations under one roof. And then maybe that younger generation is going off to college and they're coming back. And great grandma and mom and kid, and maybe even grandbaby are all living under one roof. That's the setup for spread. That's the concern, is that the younger, possibly asymptomatic kids, or before they start having symptoms, they pass it on to mom and grandparents. Okay. So the economy, the rental mortgage side of it, all those protections are going away now, like today. So we're gonna see that here in the next month or two. Okay, you're gonna have multiple generations living under one roof, which ends up spreading the coronavirus. Does that make sense? If this is helpful, please hit share. I mean, I'd appreciate that. If these are things you hadn't heard about or thought about, please hit share. Next number. There's more, but wait, there's more. And this is probably the thing that matters. Well, number 7, 8. What number am I? 8 reasons. Okay. Now I don't want to hear about conspiracy. We don't care about your politics. I don't care how you vote, red or blue. It doesn't matter to me. I promise you, I am not emotionally attached to any political ideology, but it is an election year. So there's going to be a lot of anger, frustration, protests, things like that. That will lead to the spread of coronavirus. Our current president finally got smart, canceled his Florida rally, and has gone, I think, virtual. We already saw what happened when he held other rallies. They had spikes in the number of cases. So he canceled his convention. But it's election year, and there's a lot of emotion that goes with election years, which takes me to number 9. Reason why this coronavirus is going to get worse in the fall. The protesters, it ain't going away. Who remembers, what was that sit-in a few years ago about Wall Street? The Wall Street sit-in, how long did that last for? 5-6 weeks? And then it was done, take over Wall Street or whatever it was. And then it was done. Never heard about it again. That was like in 2016 or something. But look at the protesting since George Floyd. It's still going. Portland, all of these cities that are still having protests. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying protesters, not all of them mask up. A lot of them luckily do. And you don't believe what some do not put a link about one article says protesting does not lead to coronavirus spread. Another article says protesting does lead to coronavirus spread. It doesn't matter. I'm just telling you, you've seen the pictures. A lot of people wear masks. A lot of people don't. A lot of people take off their masks when they're yelling into the megaphone. They're singing. We know all of that, leads to droplet dispersal. So protesting. And then the last one I'll tell you, number 10. This is probably the most important one. Americans no longer give a fuck. I mean, they're frustrated. This is the worst one. We are so divided. There's so many conspiracy theories. There's so many people who thinks it's hype. I mean, how can this be hype? 4.1 million cases in America alone, 145,000 deaths. It was just a couple of days ago we passed 140,000 deaths, and now we're at 145,000. Why? Dr. Vuong, the death count's going down. How do you explain that? No, it's not. There's a lag time. It's about to go up. The other day I did a video and I said we have 1,000 deaths today. We are up to 1,100 deaths and 1,200 deaths now. Just look, right? So we are so divided as a country and as a global community, right? This is horrible. And listen, I understand it's frustrating. We want to get back to new normalcy, but to do that, we're going to have to come together. We're going to have to put our differences apart. It's called adulting. #adulting. It's hard. I get it, but the virus doesn't tire. It's the Terminator, man. It doesn't care about your politics or your emotions or how down you are, how frustrated you are. It's not frustrated with you. Coronavirus is not frustrated with you. Coronavirus is not tired of you. It won't stop. The only way we get to stop is if we do our part. We socially distance, we wear the mask, we have our close circle, right? You can say whatever you want about Fauci, not wearing a mask at the baseball game. My guess is those were people, probably one was his wife and one was a close friend. You guys all have circles of friends where you don't wear masks. I don't wear a mask around Erica or around our baby. So Dr. Fauci's allowed to have the same thing. Well, I don't understand why people have such a big deal over that. Okay, and I don't want to make excuses for him. I'm sure he'll respond. But my point is this: we need to come together, because this will not go away until we do, until we understand that this is what we need to do. Okay, those are my 10 reasons for why this coronavirus is going to get worse. Yeah, before it gets better.